Sometimes love can blind you in the most dangerous ways. In my case, I hadn't even realized what had been going on right in front of me until it was far too late. Hi. My name is Hannah, and for the past 5 years, I had been dating my now ex-boyfriend, Danny. Now, for most of that time, Danny seemed like a really loving and sweet person. He was always taking me out to dinner and giving me gifts whenever I seemed sad, but I could tell there was always something that felt a little bit off about him. He'd always seem nervous, or look around as if he was scared someone was following him. I hadn't thought much of it at the time, but knowing what I know now, I should have ran far, far away and never looked back. Like I said before, though, everything was relatively fine at first, or that's how it looked to me anyways. By the 3rd year of us being together, I'd fallen so madly in love with him that any icks that he might have had, well, I just didn't notice them. I don't know if I chose to ignore them or if they didn't seem obvious to me. I saw him through rose-colored glasses, and in my eyes, he could truly do no wrong.
Wow, babe, your outfit today looks surprisingly amazing.
I cherished every compliment, even the backhanded ones, because at the time, I couldn't tell the difference between them. Looking back, I see how frequently he gave me backhanded compliments. It honestly makes me shudder to think of how much he could have gotten away with. I never said anything negative against him, and did whatever he wanted me to. My friends would always be telling me how this wasn't healthy, but I never listened.
You can't let him treat you like that. He shouldn't boss you around that much.
Yeah, you gotta stand up for yourself. If he thinks you'll do anything for him, he's gonna take advantage of that.
You guys worry too much. I've never been happier, and he treats me right. He's not that type of guy. He's different.
Hannah, we're just worried about you, and we're just concerned that you're not seeing the red flags.
And so it continued this way for several years. Well, up until the 4th year of us being together, I had begun suspecting that he'd been cheating on me, which broke the illusion of he can do no wrong for me. Oftentimes, he'd come home late, his shirt obviously wrinkled and messed up. Whenever I would question him, he'd always change the topic. Where were you?
Hey, actually, I'm starving right now. Could you make me dinner or something?
Of course, I would always comply because I still loved him. And besides, I didn't actually know if he was cheating on me or not. There was, of course, the possibility that maybe I was just being paranoid. But as time went on, I could see something was definitely going on with him. He'd stay out later and later, as well as more frequently. And every time I asked him where he'd been, he would always ask for me to make him dinner. It began to make no sense. One day I'd finally had enough. The previous night, he'd come home with an obvious lipstick stain on his shirt, which proved in my mind my worst fear. I couldn't hide from the fact he was cheating on me anymore. So I made a plan and began packing my bags once he left for work. All of my possessions were in the car by nightfall, and just like that, my plan was in motion. At night, I slipped a sleeping pill into his food. Once he came home, I handed him his dinner as normal and watched as he ate it. Shortly after, he was sound asleep on the couch. I took that time as my chance and hopped in the car and drove to my friend's house. In a panic, I hurriedly rang the doorbell and was greeted by both of my friends at the door.
What are you doing here? Are you all right?
I ran away. Can I stay here for a while?
Of course. Wait, so does that mean you left him for good?
Yup, I, found out he was cheating on me.
Oh, you poor thing. Here, we'll help you get your stuff inside.
I'm sorry to do this, but we told you he was no good.
I stayed with my friends for some time, and after I saved up enough money, I was able to buy the house next to theirs. I was so excited to get fully settled into my new house when disaster struck. Danny had found where I lived somehow and began stalking me. Everywhere I went, I'd see him, and it was honestly really freaky. One day I went out with my friends to a new coffee shop that had just opened up. It was going well until we were on our way home, and we saw smoke coming from the area we lived in. As we got closer, we saw flames engulfing my house, and I saw a familiar car driving away. Instantly, I knew Danny had to be behind this. When I pointed out his car, all 3 of us knew that he was responsible for this. We called 911 to take care of the fire, and by the time it was put out, my house was in complete ruins. My friends quickly looked through their security camera footage to see if they caught Danny on camera going near the house, And as luck would have it, they did. Right there, clear as day was, Danny lighting a cigarette and throwing it into an open window, one that happened to lead into a bedroom. From there, the fire spread quickly, and Danny left shortly before we arrived.
He wasn't very smart about this one, was he?
At least it'll be easy to put him behind bars.
And so that's exactly what we did. We drove across town to the police station and showed them the footage of him burning down my house. The police looked at the video and quickly dispatched officers to try and locate Danny. The only problem was, the video didn't show his license plate number. As it turned out, though, they were already looking for him. Apparently, the reason that he was always so cagey was because he was wanted for questioning regarding the theft of several cars. On top of that, this wasn't the first time that he would be arrested. Before I met him, he had spent a few years in prison for mugging someone. So over the next 3 months, the police kept looking, but were unable to find him. This didn't deter me, though, as I was determined to make him pay for what he'd done. I helped the police in any way I could, by giving them his address, any descriptions they needed, telling them where he worked and where he went often, and finally they found him. After all this, he tried to say the video was faked, and that he didn't even know who I was. I couldn't believe how desperately he was reaching for anything that could get him out of the situation he'd put himself in. When the judge finally declared him guilty, I hugged my friends and grinned as he was escorted out of the courtroom.
The nerve of that guy, sheesh. I can't believe how bad of a liar he was.
In the end, Danny was sentenced to 10 years in prison for arson, and I couldn't be happier knowing that he won't get out anytime soon. He got what was coming to him, and as for me, well, I moved back in with my friends. It was nice, but after some time, I used the insurance money that I got from my burned-down home to buy another place. Shortly afterwards, a nice young police officer came by and wanted to check on me. I knew right away that he had a bit of a crush on me, and had tried to be respectful not to pursue it until after the case had been closed. And although I wasn't really looking to date anyone, it kind of still worked out that way. We began dating, and before long got engaged and married. We have 2 beautiful children, and I couldn't be happier. Danny had never wanted any, and every morning when I see my children's faces, I can't help smile and be grateful that I'm no longer with Danny, and that I met their father. He is kind, loving, respectful, and I feel safe with him. My life could not be any better than how it is right now. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.